disposable, and everything's a toy that they can throw. Wind them up and let them go. Every rule is flexible and everything's a game. Honesty is optional, but honestly it's too much of a strain. And they don't get to watch the flames. Some people let it burn. There's people that enjoy the flames. Some children just don't play well with us. Some people sit back and let it burn. Some people let it burn. There's people that enjoy the flames. Some children just don't play well with us. Some people sit back and let it burn. Guess it's in your nature, you're a different creature, and nothing is a problem when everyone's beneath you, and so you wind them up and let them go. But there's the heat of being burnt, then there's the warmth of feeling love, and if you don't know which is wrong, then you will never belong. And this is your song. Some people let it burn. There's people that enjoy the flames. Some children just don't play well with us. Some people sit back and let it burn. Some people let it burn. There's people that enjoy the flames. Some children just don't play well with us. Some people sit back and let it burn.
Factory building games. What does that make you think of when you hear those words? Maybe boredom, disinterest, maybe even slow. Well, that slow, methodical gameplay is a thing that's gotten me hooked for the last 5 years of my life. To get the boring stuff out of the way, Satisfactory is a first-person open-world factory building game. Your task in Satisfactory is simple. Construct, automate, and exploit the local fauna. This is to save Earth. We don't know why, because it doesn't ever get talked about in the game. But when you're playing Satisfactory, you do not ever care about this, really. You get interested whenever something happens, although story's never the reason you care about this game. Of course, there's a lot of similar games like Satisfactory in a genre called the factory building game genre. How interesting of a name? Doesn't matter. Games such as Factorio, Tectonica, Foundry, Dyson Sphere Program, Shapes, the first and the second one, and a lot more. There's a giant host of them in this genre, I guess. Yet none of them have captured the same love I have for Satisfactory. Why? Well, in Satisfactory, the thing you're going to be doing the most is automating. Reason being, due to how Satisfactory's level system works, well, it's called tiers, but how Satisfactory's tier system works is you input a certain amount of items called project assembly parts into a space elevator to be shot into the air to do something called project assembly. What is project assembly? Saving the world. It's not original, but it's a task to do, and it works very well. Now, alongside you doing this, you could also get some really cool goodies. Usually this is done in the exploration section, so you can have a look there later. Now, why does the automation in this game feel so different? Well, unlike other games like Factorio, you don't just make a line. And I'm not great at explaining this, so I'm gonna take this portion from another guy's video because I think this suits really well how logistics and how this game's core elements work.
Okay, let me lay out a scenario for you. You have a pure deposit of iron ore. In the earliest stages of the game, the most you can yield from that deposit is 120 ore per minute with a Mark I miner. That iron then has to be processed through a smelter in order to produce iron ingots. Each smelter can produce at maximum 30 ingots per minute whilst having an input of 30 ore per minute, basically 1-to-1. But you have to keep in mind that you're mining 120 ore per minute. So in that case, only having one smelter is inefficient and necessitates 4 smelters in order to get a proper 1-to-1 ratio on ore mined to ingots produced per minute. Easy enough. But now you have 2 basic iron parts that need to be produced from those freshly pressed and processed iron ingots. Iron plates, which need 30 ingots per minute, which is perfect since your smelters are already making 30 ingots per minute, and therefore you can create 1 constructor per smelter to maintain 1-to-1 production. But you also have to make iron rods, which only need 15 ingots per minute. Okay, no problem. 2 constructors per smelter, and bam, we still have 100% efficiency. Oh, what's that? We need iron rods to make screws? Okay, no problem. How many rods do we need to make screws? Wait, 10? 10 rods per minute? But I'm making 15 per minute. So what, I'm just going to have 5 left over? Where do the other 5 go? Well, that's not going to be 100% efficient. Who the fuck brought an algebra quiz to my video game?
What you saw there is basically the core of Satisfactory. Math. Of course not like college level, but it's a welcome amount to make you think, plan, and spend all night till 3 AM in the morning building this really amazing coal power plant, or hell, even a, heavy modular frame factory. This isn't the only way to approach building a factory, by the way. You can also just connect one thing to another, and you'd still be able to get away with it. Or even, hell, you could just by hand craft 1,000 modular frames. It's not going to be time efficient, but you can do it. Reason being, how Satisfactory works is fix it, the company in charge basically goes like, here's a list, go nuts. It doesn't matter if you make the cleanest, coolest factory in the world, or hell, even the messiest dirtbag of a factory. You can go and play this game however you want. But the game devs do incentivize you to try to do it by doing the maths method, as that rewards you with more time. Why time specifically? Well, this game, unlike most games, isn't beatable in 10 hours. Well, yeah, not even then. This game is impossible to beat in 10 hours. The best speedruns of this game, speedruns to 100% this game, takes 20 hours. So if that says a lot. So the game devs themselves have gone on record to say, I think it was on the launch trailer, they've gone on record to say that this game takes about 145 hours to beat. So having wasted less time, like in the early game, making a good, beautiful factory that produces a decent amount of materials over time, instead of by hand crafting all the materials, it rewards you by allowing you to make another factory and waste less of your time. Factory building isn't the only thing Satisfactory has. It has a rich and wide open world you can explore, and unlike what most people think when they first boot up the game, the world is not procedurally generated. So you have one curated giant world where you could spawn in 4 different locations and expand and grow into the other areas later on in the game. Why should you go exploring anyways? Well, whilst you're going now exploring, you can find either more resource nodes, stuff like iron ore, copper, limestone even, or you could find drop pods, which look weirdly familiar to the drop pod you came in here. It doesn't matter though, as you're only here for the hard drives it drops. Hard drives are a game changer. If you put them through a thing called the MAM, which is basically a secondary progression system the game has, you could get alternate recipes, which gives you basically a better version of a recipe the game already gives you to make a certain thing. So, for example, a good one I like to use is when you're making steel, instead of having 45 copper and 45 coal making 45 steel, you get 40 coal and 40 smelted iron, and it gives you 60 steel per minute. So Satisfactory's all recipe system is a game changer, along with the MAM itself, which whilst you're out exploring you can collect little resources, and you could get cool goodies from the MAM. These being things like the Blade Runners, which make you go incredibly fast, or the paraglider that prevents all fall damage. Just keep an eye out on the local fauna when you're out exploring. In most games, there is a weak side, and sadly for Satisfactory, the combat is its weak side. Reason being, the game gives you a wide variety of weapons, things like cool ammo types or cool explosive types, all going all the way to handheld and nukes you could throw on enemies. But the issue isn't the variety of weapons, it's the lack of monsters to fight them against. As in the game, currently there's only 4 different variants of enemies, and each of them having like 2 or 3 different tiers. But each of these things, each of these enemies, can be killed in 1 or 2 regular explosives. So once you get into level 2 or level 3 in the game, you could already kill basically everything, with no issues. Reason being, this is its weak side, is Satisfactory is not made by a major company. It's made by Coffee Stain Studios, which, to make this game, there was only 40 people creating Satisfactory. So sadly, some content had to be cut. That being the enemies. Like for example, in the E3 2018 trailer, there was a 200 millisecond roughly clip of a really cool monster that seemed to be like kind of like a final boss type thing. Of course that was revealed all the way in 2018 and they didn't follow through with it as they had run out of time. And that is why, for the last 5 years, Satisfactory has been my favourite game to date. But not gonna lie, instead of making this really long video to make, I could have just shown you my hour count on Steam, and I think you would have been able to get that.